Hello, this is Deborah with Black Education TV. I'm going to be discussing the women of Wakanda. For those of you who have gone to see the film Black Panther, all I can say is wow. Now, I know many of the super righteous people have already picked it apart. As a matter of fact, this movie has caused so much division, unlike anything I've ever seen. Well, I'm not going to say ever seen, but I'm going to say in recent days. There is so much hatred going back and forth between, I'm not going to even talk about the other racial groups. I'm talking about just between so-called black people. I've seen people on Facebook saying that they're going to get off of Facebook for a while because they just can't take the deafening noise of the arguing and the bickering and the slandering and the hatred and the bitterness. I've been seeing this myself, and it is just overwhelming that something like this would cause our people to feel this way towards each other and to lash out and somehow believe that it's righteous. You would think that this was the worst, most damning film to ever be released, the way so-called black people are behaving among each other, specifically the so-called Hebrew Israelites. This movie have our people just so enraged, many of them, to where I don't even know where the spirit is coming from. I don't even believe that this movie... Now, here's one of the biggest issues. A lot of the so-called Hebrew Israelites are angry because they feel like this is a promotion of African culture, in which if they paid close enough attention, they would have saw some other things that, to me, should have been obvious to them. There are some elements in there that dealt directly with us. And I'm going to just say one of them right away. The young man who said when they were gathering our people, carrying us off in slave ships. I don't want to say too much about the film. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it. But when the young man gave reference to the Europeans gathering us and carrying us off in slave ships. But the thing is this. A lot of the argument was, how come Hollywood won't do a film about us being the Israelites? They won't do a movie about us. They're leaving us out. Like it sounds like you're whining. Why would Hollywood do a film about us? It would be nice if they did, but they are trying to hide who we are. So why are they going to do that? Why would they do that? Unless the Most High put it on their hearts to do it. They give you subtle hints and clues. When they do things such as there were scenes in Shaka Zulu where they said these are the lost tribes of Israel or something like that. But a whole film, it would be nice. But why would we expect that when the Most High said that we are his hidden ones? When he says that they have taken crafty counsel against us. But we are angry and upset and whining because they haven't done a full film about us. But they did one about the Africans, and I just don't understand they won't do one about us. Look, brothers and sisters, please. I know some of y'all going to get upset at me because some of y'all are my friends on Facebook. And we have a nice workable relationship, a nice cordial Facebook social media relationship. But many of you have hyped it up real bad, your disdain for this movie. And so don't take this personal. Me and many others haven't taken it personal with the lashing out that you all have done. I mean, some of you are literally condemning people. Some of you are condemning people, saying that folk gonna be judged and all kinds of things for watching a film. Now, listen. There are so many movies out here that definitely have a lot of satanic elements in it and all kinds of stuff. But if you understood, this is why we're doing the Satan's Musical Prophets series. Because you are surrounded by it, family. You're in the land of your captivity and you are surrounded by it. Your eyes are beholding this evil when you even spend that dollar. There's more wickedness on that dollar bill that you want so many of. You want to collect those, right? There's so much wickedness just in what's printed on those than just about any film that's out there. You're going to find the same amount of wickedness and evilness and all kinds of stuff. But I don't see too many of y'all saying, look, I don't want to touch that money no more. It's wicked. You got to get rid of hypocrisy, family. If you're going to condemn a film because you say it's promoting African culture or Egyptian culture, we have to remember the Egyptians were people. They had a culture. You can't vanquish everybody's culture because it's not promoting your culture. Asian people had a culture. Why should we expect them to do an Asian film with people dressed the way Israelites dressed? If it was indeed a film about Africans, it's their culture. And so I said I was going to talk about the Wakandan women. That's what this video is about. I just kind of got carried away because I'm looking at all of this stuff. I'm just blown away that so much negativity has come from this. But I want to talk about those Wakandan women. It kind of reminds me of our sister Judith. We did a video where we were talking about Judith. And we read the story. It's a powerful story of a woman who was very much a woman, but she was also a female warrior. A female warrior. The women of Wakanda. Very beautiful, melanated women, but they were also warriors. Very honorable women. Virtuous women, but they were warriors. And now let me tell you something else about these women. They were so smart, very smart and intelligent. And the one thing I loved the most about these women, these Wakandan women, was how they stuck by their men. They helped their men. They honored their men. And they fought right there with their men. And we're talking about full combat, full battle. They were right there. They didn't scurry off to the kitchen to bake cookies while the men were on the battlefield. They know, like, I'm going to fight here with these men. With our men, we're going to fight with them in battle. And one thing I wanted to say that kind of reminded me of the story of Judith when the men... Now, see, in the story of Judith, the men got afraid of what was coming, of the battle that was coming. And so Judith heard from the Most High. The Most High instructed her on what to do. And she had to tell the men, look, don't inquire of me about anything. I'm going to handle this. The Most High blessed her, gave her the victory over the enemies of Israel. And she handed the victory to the men of Israel by cutting off the head of one of their enemies. And she delivered the head to the brothers. That's a powerful story in the Apocrypha for those of you who have never read the story of Judith. In the Bible, the Apocrypha. Now, the Wakandan women, what I thought was interesting, when the men were ready to go on the side of evil, these women, they stood up for what they felt was right, to maintain righteousness in the land. They stood up and they fought against evil when the men folded like cheap suits. Very honorable. Now, these women presented something for any woman to aspire to. And they wore it with style and grace. These female warriors, they were ruthless in the way they fought. And I mean in a good way. They fought with great style and precision. They fought just as good as the men. They were trained to be warriors. Now imagine if we applied that spiritually and we were warriors in the spirit, in the Ruach HaKodesh. Imagine if we applied that spiritually. Because, you know, the scripture says, put on the whole armor of Yah that you may be able to stand. What if we were able to fight like that spiritually, the way those women did naturally. Because, the scripture says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. There's a war going on. And imagine if we had the mentality of the Wakandan women spiritually as it relates to battle, with no fear, charging at the enemy to defeat the enemy. That was a very powerful film. Very, very powerful film. And I just hate to see what's happening with this film, that it is causing so much of a stir with people. It's causing so much bitterness and bickering and fighting for people who haven't even seen the film. They've just drawn conclusions because they've seen a trailer or two, and they've seen images, and they've seen other people talking about it. They've drawn these conclusions, and they're already creating and stirring up their conspiracy theories. What I find amazing, there's one brother, he said he's watched the film 3 times. For educational purposes, he is picking the film apart, because there are some nuggets, good and bad, in just about everything you do. Like I said, we don't see nobody discarding their money. And it is wicked to the core. All kinds of Illuminati. It amazes me how people sit up talking about, Illuminati symbols in the film. That's why I'm not watching it. I'm not going to watch that film because it got Illuminati symbols and all of this kind of symbolism and all of that and this and that and that and this and that and that and that. You have people who don't want to watch it because of that. But when you go in their wallet, they say they don't want to watch the film because it has Illuminati symbols. But if you tell them, look, since you don't want to deal with Illuminati symbols and Egyptian symbols, why don't you just hand over that cash that you have in your wallet or your purse? Well, no, we ain't going to take it that far. I mean, I can deal with those symbols. I can deal with those because I got to pay my bills. They can deal with Illuminati symbols and Egyptian symbols and wicked symbols and coded symbols and all of that kind of stuff. Symbolism, they can deal with it as long as it's green, spendable money in their pocket or purse. But then self-righteousness kicks in when you talk about a film like Black Panther, which has some very powerful stuff in it. And now we're saying that we're going to expose what these Jews are really trying to do. There's a method to everything that they do. And to be honest with you, just about everything in your life, in the land of your captivity, have something in it that is questionable. Do you think the people who made the car that you drive around in are righteous, holy men of Israel? You think the makers of that Escalade are just these righteous, holy men? Do you think the person who made that iPhone that you're using are these super holy prophets of Yah? What about that nice desktop computer you have? What about that Apple computer? Do you think one of the daughters of Zion designed that just for you? Everything you deal with, just about. The furniture you sit on, the computer you're on, the car you're riding in, the devices that you have, your tablet, notebook, the money in your pocket. None of it comes from the land of Israel. None of it was made or produced by the holy prophets of Yah. Now, some of you may say, well, you're just making an excuse because you like the film. There are a lot of films that I have not watched, and I don't care to watch. Some films are just obvious. Some music is just obvious. And because of the research my husband and I do, some things we watch because of our research. And it's not that I even want to. Because of the research we do on music, we have to look at the lyrics so that we can better articulate to you what is going on. Going into things with your eyes wide open is better than going into them with your eyes wide shut. In order to combat the devices of the enemy, sometimes you have to look at the devices of the enemy so that you can understand them. If it wasn't for some of the things that we've studied and found out about, you wouldn't have been able to tell me that you can get spirits from even things that you eat. And I know y'all don't believe that, but that statement, you are what you eat, I believe that. I really, truly believe that. And so when you really dissect everything, nothing is as it seems. So while we're trying to take a movie like the Black Panther, in which a lot of people have felt very positive vibes, and you're trying to look at this movie and condemn people, judging people, and doing all of this stuff over this film when there have been so many films out there. Like I said, a lot of people set up and watch Scandal and reporting on Scandal. I don't watch stuff like Scandal. It's just not something that interests me. But some of the same people who would watch stuff like that are condemning this film, and I just don't get that, because they feel like it's hyping up African culture. And they feel left out because it's not hyping up what they call Hebrew Israelite culture. Come on, family. We got to grow up past this stuff. It's okay if you're going to go and see a movie or a film. It's okay. It's actually a good thing if a person can go and see a film, enjoy the film, and say, but I did notice this. I did notice that. This is a person. We think that somebody's going to go and watch a film and say, because of this, I think I want to fly like Batman now. Anyone who is like that, I think you shouldn't watch any film if you're going to be molded and shaped like that. But I just don't see that this is one of those kind of films. I've seen some of the things that people have pointed out. But like I said, that same symbolism is on the very money that you spend and desire to have lots of. I don't see nobody rejecting this money, and y'all know that there's some wickedness attached to this money. You know it. But ain't nobody trying to discard that, though. I don't want to quite call it hypocrisy, because I'm not trying to call anyone that, but we just got to be careful that when you're condemning people, like I said, one sister, she's new in the truth, and she was getting a little frustrated, and I totally understand. And I just say, sister, to you, be encouraged. The amount of backlash she saw, the comments made her say that she wanted to get off of Facebook because she couldn't take it anymore. Because all of what she was seeing, the majority of it was coming from so-called Hebrew Israelites. She's like, so you gonna condemn me because I watched a film? I find it utterly amazing. Like I said, we need to go into everything with our eyes wide shut, but come on now. Some things are just a bit much and far-fetched when you are condemning people as if you've never sat and watched a film. And I just don't see that this film deserves that type of negativity that you are trying to portray, knowing that just about everything has something in it. I'm sure there's plenty of items in your very home that have some type of symbolism on it, and you're not even aware of it. If you got any products from Procter & Gamble, get it out of your house then, if that's the case. I'm just saying the rabbit hole goes so deep. The rabbit hole goes so deep, family. To try to narrow it down to this film, like this film is just, oh my goodness, they're just indoctrinating black people. Oh my goodness, to hear some of the rhetoric, it is beyond belief to me. It is beyond belief that black people would zero in on a film about black people, and in your mind, the film was made to try to destroy black people. We're already a destroyed people. We've already been messed up, indoctrinated, spoon-fed lies. And the way to get people to back out of those lies is not to attack in the way that you're attacking. This is not going to make people want to be a Hebrew Israelite when they see this type of behavior. One sister, totally different sister, she says, see, now this is why I don't want to have nothing to do with this Hebrew Israelite mess, because you people are vile. When I heard this sister, and see, a lot of these people, you don't understand how your actions affect people that are new to the truth. You're so busy trying to preach, and trying to dissect everything, and you're putting all this rhetoric out there, and people who see this stuff are being injured by your fiery darts because you don't know how to deliver a message in the right way. The way I would tell people to approach a movie or music or anything like that is to proceed with caution and to understand the devices of the enemy and to understand how to decipher things, because you're not going to stop grown people from going to see a movie. But what you can do is educate people on what to see. Like one brother, he and his wife, they said they took their family to see it, and it was for educational purposes, which is the same reason why we did, for educational purposes for our family, because we are film producers ourselves. We produce documentaries and short films. And so we like to be able to see what it is we're talking about, or what other films are talking about, to give us something that we could expound on. So in seeing this, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not really into superhero type films. And so I really only went because I wanted to spend that time with my family. But the first 5 minutes I was sitting there saying to myself, I hope I can stay awake, because I'm just not into that kind of thing. My husband, he's been into the Marvel comics and stuff like that, and it's just not my thing. It's just not my thing. But I was pulled into the movie within 5 minutes. From start to finish, they made it very interesting. A lot of nuggets dropped here and there and everywhere. And the one thing that I liked was the unity that these people had, the honor and the integrity. The men, the women, the old, the young, they had all this honor and integrity. And the sense of community was off the charts. And I think we as so-called blacks here in America, because we lack that, you lash out in jealousy because we don't have that. Our people would rather stab you in your back than to try to help you along the way. They don't want to help you at all. There's this wicked spirit that just permeates throughout the so-called black community here in America. And so when you see something or hear something about black togetherness in the film, that's why everybody say, oh, that ain't nothing but fantasy. That ain't nothing but fantasy. When you see black women being portrayed as female warriors, you think that's fantasy. That's reality. There are black female warriors. There were, should I say, black female warriors. But when you lose touch with your roots, all of that stuff seems like fiction and fantasy to you. But togetherness and unity is not fiction and fantasy. It can be a reality. But when you have a people that's plagued by demonic spirits, plagued by self-righteousness and self-indulgence, self-importance, this is what you get. This is the narrative that comes forth. It reminds me of a passage in Romans where it talked about how the children of Israel, or the so-called tribe of Judah, brags about and prides themselves on being keepers of the law. But at the same time they're doing this, they're breaking all kinds of laws and causing the Gentiles to do the same because of their lawlessness. But yet they're always talking about how much they keep the law. Oh, we keep the law. We keep the law. We teach others to do the law. But it's saying the things that you teach, are you doing it yourself? The things that you barking about on the street corners, are you doing it yourself? And I don't want to just put it all on the street corner preachers, because I have seen some of the brothers that have been on the street corners who really know the word. But even in some of the assemblies, even if you don't even go on the street corners, even in some of the assemblies, even some individual teachers who just teach, period. When you see some of the things that our people say and do to each other, if we were all measured by how we treat each other, we would be man most miserable, woman most miserable, if our punishments were based on how we treat each other. In a sense, I believe it is. But yeah, again, that was my take on the women of Wakanda, how they were very strong and virtuous women and beautiful in their own light, regardless to how so-called black men frown upon the beauty of pure African women. It is really sad. And y'all know when I say African, we came from Africa too. I know that we all originated from the land of Israel. But remember, we weren't always there either. We actually were given that land by the Most High. Remember that. That land used to be we had to possess the land. Okay, I'll put it to you that way. You see. And so we were all throughout various areas of the Middle East and Africa when we were captured as slaves and brought here to America, or brought to Europe, or down in South America. Scripture says that we were shipped to the four corners of the earth. Many of us were captured in Africa, from Africa, and brought here. So we have to keep these things in mind as we pout about certain things. And those African women, being as strong and virtuous as they are, what I find sad is that you have grown men, black men, who are supposed to be mature enough to know better, but talking about these women and saying that they would never date someone because they believe they're ugly. They don't think that they're attractive women. That's disgusting to me. That is so disgusting when you have a man who comes from a black woman to look at the women that were in that film, or to look at any daughter of Zion, and to say that they're too dark. I don't like their natural hair. I don't think they're attractive. Self-hate to the third degree. So many of you probably wouldn't even be impressed by the women of Wakanda, despite how much they proved that they would stand by their man. You wouldn't even be impressed by that. As a matter of fact, many of you, even after these women fought for you, will probably prefer to marry someone else. This Western culture has done a number on us. It has messed us up so bad to where we don't understand how to honor, love, and respect one another. And although Wakanda may be a fictional place, the movie was well executed, and I applaud those sisters. Shalom, family.